Hello friends and welcome back. I'm Dr. Larry Mitnaul, your friendly neighborhood child and adult psychiatrist, where we're here to talk about, what's on your mind and give you some education from a psychological, psychiatric vantage point that may help you to live a really full life, and certainly to help people around you, and certainly help your kids if you're a parent that's watching this too. So I appreciate all of the comments that you guys send. I actually read them all, even if I'm not able to respond in real time. And several of you have been asking about tips about residency and getting in and interviews. Now, those who've been following the channel know that I've done a video that's a little bit more comprehensive about how do you get to that point and to get to residency, especially if you're interested in psychiatry. And so you'll definitely want to check that out if you haven't already. But today I'm going to focus mostly on kind of some of the interviewing aspects and things to think about kind of on the road to do that. Now, you don't necessarily have to be a high school student going to college, a college student going to medical school, medical student going to residency, a resident trying to get their first gig. To know that interviewing and that interaction that you have with people are really important for helping to shape or maybe open the next door to your next thing. So I think even if you're outside of the medical field, this might be of some help to you too in framing some of your decisions. So you definitely want to stay tuned and watch till the end. So before we get to that, I thought maybe we'd spend a little time with our question of the episode. And this one contains a little bit of neuropsychiatry or brain biology. So as you may know, the body is made up of trillions of cells. And so my question for you is, how many neurons do we have? As you will recall, neurons are the basic unit of the brain. It's like a highway transmitting messages to other neurons, glands, muscles, and nerves. So can you tell me? Do you know? All right, so I want you to pause and not try to consult Dr. Google first. We'll talk about it if you stay tuned till the end. And so before we do that, back to me. Okay, so before I prepare your neurons for how to interview, don't forget to hit that like button down below. It's as easy as transmitting the message from your primary motor cortex to the edge of your fingertips. You've got this. I believe in you. So now let's get to it. So one, know the program you're applying to as much as possible, or the job or industry that you're trying to break into. And why is that important? So it may be helpful to kind of look up their past graduates of their program. And I'm going to speak more to the medical field, but obviously how this might apply to you. And sometimes you can find online some biographies of people who have successfully completed their course of study there. And see where they're practicing or see what they're doing. And so if everyone is, in upstate New York in a private practice with academic, appointments and teaching credentials, well, that tells you a little bit about the program and the type of candidates they're looking to attract and perhaps what they're most geared toward. If you're connected to folks on, LinkedIn or other networks, as you may be able to ask some of those current residents or past graduates questions of that particular program that you're interested in. What do you like? What are the things that have been a biggest challenge to you? Have you lived in my part of the world and transitioned there? And what were some of the stumbling blocks along the way? So those things can be really helpful. Maybe asking what's special about the program and what they see as an item that sets their program apart. These are some of the differentiators that help you to better know the program, but also it puts a face on it and allows you to maybe develop a connection to knowing someone within the organization as well, to help you get a clearer picture of what it is that you're actually after. All right, so the second consideration, be sure to know your story. Your story for getting to psychiatry or getting to medicine, your story for breaking into this industry and developing this interest. I mean, that story may not be what you wrote in full detail in your application, but it can really be a helpful anchor to that point. And so you'd be surprised at the number of people who write these really beautiful statements and then have difficulty kind of unpacking what that means or adding more anecdotes that help to make it clear for the person sitting in front of you what it is that you intend to accomplish, and how you see yourself kind of fitting within the practice. So think about what has attracted you to this field. You could even ask your friends, can you imagine me, doing this, or being trained as a sleep specialist or whatever it is. And so they might answer you honestly, I mean, yes or no, and tell you, funny stories about yourself maybe that help you to get better clarity from the outside of what makes this a great fit for you or why this might be your next best step. And so don't ignore those things to help really make clear your story. And the clearer that it becomes in your mind, the better you'll be able to communicate that to other people who are looking to get to know you. So, and last, among the top pillars of things to think about when pursuing, this interview, or if you're on the interview trail, is finding a mentor. And so certainly that was helpful for me in psychiatry. I mean, it could be a professor from your school or another program. Relationships in just about every field are immensely helpful, and medicine still relies very much on an apprenticeship kind of model of teaching. And so that may be a $1 million difference between really understanding your pairing, knowing your strengths, and being able to launch some of your ideas or bounce them off of someone who's really expert in the field and could help you to kind of tailor who you are and to really highlight some of the skills that you bring when you're sitting face to face with someone. And so the other thing that's helpful about a mentor is that often they know the landscape better than you could know it. So they know the people, they know a little bit more about the culture, they might know the strong emphasis of a particular program or a particular field. And so having their insight can be really, really crucial. Not that you want to, whittle down yourself to just be the perfect wedge piece that fits what they're looking for, but at least you go in with a clear sense of what your strengths are and what you bring to the table. And so that can really make the difference when you're sitting down for an interview and trying to be confident and portray the best of yourself and how you're such a great candidate. All right, friends, so those are my top 3 things to consider when going into the residency interview phase that you're looking to find yourself in. Obviously, there's more that can be said, and that list isn't perfectly exhaustive. If there are more particular questions, if you want me to elaborate on one of the 3 points that I've made here, or you want me to go into more detail, let me know in the comments below, and I'm happy to make some more content that kind of answers the things that are most burning on your mind. And so without further ado, we'll get back to our question of the episode. And so we talked about, my question to you was, how many neurons do we have? And so the answer is, are you ready? So estimates range from 86 to 100 billion cells, right? Isn't that incredible? But you don't have to take my word for it. So for more on this topic, which is really, really fascinating, I found this really great article from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, PNAS, and a really amazing researcher who writes well too, in an article below that just kind of talks a little bit about the brain's construction and her mathematical model for predicting how many cells does the average brain hold. All right, my friends, you've been wonderful. Thanks for listening. I look forward to us talking again soon. Take good care and please be well.